The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Monsieur le Président, today the official opposition, our Conservative caucus, and indeed the whole House, is in mourning. I am truly saddened to inform the House of the sudden passing of our dear friend and colleague, the member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes, Gord Brown, earlier this morning. Before I begin, Mr. Speaker, I just want to convey our appreciation to the members of the Parliamentary Protective Service, who were the first on the scene and who went above and beyond in doing everything they could to try to save Gord's life this morning. And through you to them, please give them our most sincere thanks for all their efforts as they tried to save our friend. To say that we are all shocked and saddened by his sudden passing would be an understatement, Mr. Speaker. Nous sommes tous très attristés.
We are very saddened.
Most deeply felt by those of us on this side of the House who worked, campaigned, and fought alongside him for years. I know that Gord always held the respect of all members in this House, and his loss will be felt by everyone who had the honor of sitting with him, working with him, or debating with him here. Gord and I were elected at the same time. We're the class of 2004. But like so many of us, his involvement in politics began far earlier, as a student and as a teenager. He was the quintessential happy warrior, starting out as a volunteer for our party and a grassroots conservative through and through. He was involved in so many aspects of the party going back literally decades. He got his start in the Youth Association of the PC Party, worked on leadership campaigns at the municipal level, provincial level as well. Everyone in Conservative politics in Ontario knew Gord Brown and respected him. He was a dedicated representative for his constituents in Leeds, Grenville, Rideau Lakes, and the Thousand Islands. Gord earned their trust again and again through consecutive elections. In this Parliament, he held the role of Chief Opposition Whip, an important responsibility in the early days of this Parliament. He was an eternal optimist who was always quick with a compliment or a supportive word. Now, he was Whip of our caucus right away after the last election, and I had the honor of serving with him as House Leader. And for those of you that may know, the House Leader and the Whip share the same suite of offices up on the 4th floor. I remember the day that his staff bought him a bullwhip to commemorate his appointment in that position. He got such a kick out of that, Mr. Speaker. I remember for the first few days of that session, I could often hear the crack of that bullwhip. And I was always worried he was going to hurt himself. While he was Whip, he made it a priority to get to know every member of our team, not just as a colleague, but as a person too, because he recognized that the challenges that this life can place on members can be very, very difficult, and he wanted to make sure that our caucus supported each other, not just on a professional level, but on the human level as well. Il a pris ce rôle très
He took on that very difficult role with his professionalism. His flair shone through on his files.
About Gord's contributions to his community as a councillor, as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and so much more. Today, we're thinking about his family, about his wife, Claudine, and his 2 sons, Tristan and Chance. We grieve with them, Mr. Speaker. Last week, we had an event that we really wanted Gord to be at, and he turned down the initial invitation, and so I asked my office to follow up and just make sure that he knew how important it was that he was there. And he called back and he said, listen, I can't go. I've made a commitment to the only person more important to me than this team, and that was Claudine. He had made arrangements to have a date night with his wife, and he wasn't going to break that, Mr. Speaker, for anybody. And you know what? We were glad that he kept it. You know, many in this House have served with him in many different capacities on several different committees over the past 15 years. But those of you who got to know him the most probably did so on the ice. He was captain of our Conservative hockey team, Mr. Speaker, and I know you even had the pleasure of playing with him. He had as much passion for that as he did for his professional work as well, because it really gave him an opportunity to get to know his colleagues on a more personal level and just enjoy some time together outside of the precinct. I don't have the words to properly express how terribly this has struck our entire Conservative family. I want to thank all the well wishes that we've received from members of every party and people who have served with us in past parliaments. Aujourd'hui, nos pensées.
Today, our thoughts and prayers are with his loved ones during these difficult times.
To everything he did. Most recently, he did tremendous work fighting for those who have suffered from thalidomide in their lives. And the sincerity with which he approached that file, knowing there's a real human cost to those people who have been afflicted with that. He was moved by their suffering, and he was moved to do something about it. And that was inspiring for every member of our team to see him really throw himself into that project. Mr. Speaker, we know not the time or the place, but we trust in God's limitless mercy and everlasting love. We trust that his memory will be a blessing to all of us here. May his soul and the soul of all the faithful departed rest in peace.
The honourable member for Malpeque.
Mr. Speaker, it is with profound sadness that I stand in the House today to join my voice with others in paying tribute to our dear friend and colleague, Gord Brown. It is also with immense joy that I can share what a wonderful person Gord was in every imaginable way. First and foremost, on behalf of the Liberal Party and Liberal members both current and past, I extend our deepest condolences to his wife, Claudine, and to his 2 sons, Chance and Tristan. I first got to know Gord as members of the Canada-US Interparliamentary Group, where we worked in common cause on Canada-US issues for more than a decade. If memory serves, our first IPG meeting together was a New England Governor's Eastern Canadian Premiers Conference on Prince Edward Island, where Gord accepted my offer to show him around the island. As all of you know, while Gord was always willing to work with others across party lines, he was a true blue conservative through and through. And so for Gord to hop in my red truck and do a couple of tours with me around the island was, to say the least, interesting but a lot of fun. We repeated that experience years later when the Conservative Party held their National Caucus meeting in Prince Edward Island. And, you know, I didn't mind driving up to the door a bit in my red truck to pick up Gord Brown. But I will have to admit, Mr. Speaker, that no matter how hard I tried, Gord was not about to change his political stripes. Gord would often speak about his riding, always emphasizing the Thousand Islands and how he could look across his yard and see the United States. He took great pride in introducing a bill to change the name of the St. Lawrence Islands National Park of Canada to the Thousand Islands National Park of Canada. The bill became law in 2013 because of his hard work. Gord served as co-chair of the Canada-U.S. Interparliamentary Group, and he worked tirelessly to make, sustain, and build relationships with our counterparts in the U.S. Congress. In fact, without question, he was one of our strongest ambassadors on U.S. issues. And not just within the IPG context. On more than one occasion, he traveled to Washington to play with the Republican representatives on their hockey team. Some say the Republican team referred to Gord as their ringer. And he loved that, and they loved to have him. You would hear it in the discussions when you would meet congressional reps in the U.S. about a number, but especially Gord, who played for their hockey team. Without doubt, Gord loved hockey, and his son's hockey abilities was an endless source of pride for him. Often he would pull out his phone and show us pictures and video of Tristan, at a very young age in full hockey gear, racing up the ice. I imagine many of you in this house have seen those videos that Gord showed so much pride in his family. In this place and on trips to the United States, Gord was always respectful of everyone and thoughtfully considered the viewpoints of others, even though he might not agree. That was the tenor of the man. Gord set goals and priorities and set out to achieve them in his political life. But he was always clear about the importance of family and friends. For him, they always came first. He will be deeply missed by everyone, Mr. Speaker, who had the good fortune to meet him. Our condolences again to his family. Thank you.
The honourable member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, like many, I stand here with shock and disbelief for the loss of one of our colleagues, the member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes, our friend, Gord Brown. To Claudine, Tristan, Chance, New Democrats offer our prayers and condolences and thanks for sharing him with this Parliament and with our country, Canada. I offer these remarks with both humility and pride. Humility for a member who represented his constituents first and foremost, with a pride to be able to get to know Gord on a professional and personal way that led to us becoming friends. Gord had firm beliefs, but he was not ideological. That served him well in his various roles in Parliament, as an MP, as a member of a committee, as whip, his numerous parliamentary associations, and that is where I knew him best, as his role as vice and co-chair of the Canada-U.S. Parliament Association, a role that he loved and cherished. In this capacity, Gord had the ability to be effective for Canada in a statesman way that should not be underestimated. He included all members, and when lobbying Congress and senators in Washington, he quickly gained respect and admiration from Democrats and Republicans both. Nothing could bond a New Democrat and a Conservative more than standing outside the White House for Canada. We know that Gord was an avid sports fan. In fact, I witnessed this firsthand when the NDP hockey team faced off against the Conservative team. In this one-sided affair, Gord contributed to that victory. As the NDP goalie, I am blaming it on ownership. In fact, our team would soon be disbanded. But there was never a moment, Mr. Speaker, that didn't pass in this hallway where Gord and I didn't share discussion and talking about coaching. Our sons are playing, his nephew, and others of his family. And I think that openness, Mr. Speaker, is some of the things that rooted him as a member of Parliament in his work, and is probably one of the most serious contributions that one could make, is because you simply knew where Gord was driving at every single time, and it was always for the people he represented and for Parliament, and for that I am always grateful. When you live on the border, you get to become a fierce patriot, and that's what Gord was. And for his passion of tourism and the environment in our Canada, we will always be grateful. So I say goodbye to my border brother, but you will never be forgotten. And again, I thank the family, friends, and the community for sharing us and making sure that Gord had the opportunity to make Canada a better place. God bless Gord.
All right. L'honorable député de Rivière.
The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we're all shocked and dismayed to learn of the passing of our colleague, the member for Leeds-Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes, Gord Brown. On my behalf and on behalf of all of my colleagues in the Quebec Parliamentary Group, I offer my condolences to his spouse, his children, to his loved ones, and the people in his region, and to his Conservative caucus colleagues. In politics, our confrontations during question period attract more attention than our times of collaboration. But we're here, we're all in the same boat, brought together by our call for public service. And it was while fulfilling this public service that Gord left us. I want to say thank you for the 14 years he devoted to representing his constituents here with his energy. May his spouse and 2 children find the serenity and courage necessary to face this difficult situation.
L'honorable député de Pierre-Boucher.
The Honourable Member for Pierre-Boucher, Patriote et Verchères. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to address this House. As leader of the Bloc Québécois, on behalf of the House Leader of the Bloc Québécois, I would like to say, on behalf of my leader, that I want to offer my deep and sincere condolences to the family of Gordon Brown, to his loved ones, and all his colleagues in the House of Commons. I also want to extend my condolences to members of the Conservative Party. It's at difficult times like this that we realize that life is fragile. The human condition is fragile. We are all mortal. Our colleague left us all too quickly. As a member, I am deeply touched, also as a human being. It is always sad to say goodbye, and I hope he had a chance to do so to his loved ones. I want to salute the courage of the man who dedicated his life to the well-being of his fellow citizens. Today, we all bear witness to our gratitude and deep respect. My thoughts and prayers go to him and to his loved ones. May he rest in peace, and may his loved ones find serenity.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all wish we weren't rising on a somber day to share memories of such a good guy. The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Island, Rideau Lakes has left us far too soon. I mean, at 57, I think it's just really, I think for all of us, just a deep shock. We heard the news just hours ago. And it is hard to rise in this place and speak of Gord Brown in the past tense. I'm really grateful that over the last 7 years as a member of Parliament, I got to know Gord. He was a fine guy, a good person of good spirit, collegial, friendly. Yes, as my good friend from Malpeque said, he was a true blue conservative, but he wasn't so partisan that we couldn't be friends. He was fair-minded. As chair of the Heritage Committee, he'd give someone a chance to speak who wasn't on the committee. And for Claudine and Chance and Tristan, we can't begin to imagine the pain and grief you're experiencing. And if through our words here today we can give you any comfort that we mourn his loss, that gives us some consolation because your loss is so great. Mr. Speaker, it's often the case that when someone passes, that there's a tendency to remember only the good things about them, accentuate their virtues, forget those things that were unpleasant. It's called hagiography, and we embellish someone's memory. And I just hope from the words spoken from all of us members of Parliament from different parties, every Canadian will know we're not exaggerating virtues. We're not eliminating faults. I don't think there's a single person in this place who knew Gord in his life who would have had a bad word to say about him. And in politics, I don't think there's any greater tribute to a human being than to be universally well-liked and loved by colleagues in this place. God bless you, Gord. We will miss you, and may we do more as colleagues in this place to treat each other with the kind of kindness with which Gord treated everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said by all. Today, we've lost a beloved member of our parliamentary family. Gord Brown was a great friend, a valued colleague, a loving husband and father, and that most precious of creations, a good person. He was a tenacious competitor, as we've heard, whether in the political arena or on the ice. And I knew that, and I saw it both on his team and opposite. And yet, in all things, he was always and entirely a gentleman. En hommage to sa mémoire, je demande à tous
To
les
pay tribute to
députés de
his
se
memory,
lever pour
I
observer
ask all members to
un moment de
rise
silence.
and observe a moment of silence.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move, seconded by the member for Portage-Lisgar, that the House do now adjourn.
Is it agreed? Accordingly, this House stands adjourned until tomorrow at 10 a.m. pursuant to Standing Order 24-1.